Good afternoon. The topic that I'm going to be talking about today is within our world, internationally, within your nation, anywhere, is race relations. Now, I don't specifically mean different race. I'm talking about, I don't actually mean races. I'm talking about like within a country, you may have people who identify differently based on religion like what I'm trying to say. You can have a country with it's supposed to be European, but you have Caucasian people who divide into different communities and whatnot. That happens a lot. You have countries where you have like Turkish and Arabic, and then you have countries that has like Russian and then Turkish, things like that. Like you have it all over the world. There's different race relations. Typically in the United States, it's about black, Hispanic, or white. There's more of a divider and a separation in the US typically. It's more of a melting pot. Everyone, Asian, Native, and all that, they all fall under other. Right? So yeah, there's that. But you know what? I think I'm gonna switch the topic. That's fine. I mean, it's pretty clear. I don't think there's anything needs to be said about that. People know typically about that. So let me think of another topic. I'd like to. What else is a good topic? You know what? The best thing that we learn in schools, and I'm talking about elementary, middle school, and high school, the best thing we learn is basically, I don't even have anything there. I don't want to stop this and re-record, so I'll just keep going. Just find something to talk about. How about community? Yeah, community is a good one. That's really what I was getting about. It didn't have to do with race. It didn't have to do with any of that. It had to do with community. Community. Yeah, there you go. I got it. So it's community and your life, right? Your life within, without, and around a community. Now, typically, when it comes to your life, you got to realize, and this is where race plays a factor. There are always, you know, there are always factors within your life. You know what I mean? In my opinion, most people, I don't think anyone is really centered around one race. It doesn't work like that. It may seem like that. Like you might be like, well, I'm Chinese, they're Chinese. It doesn't work like that. Even within a province of China, you will have people who identify with something here. And I'm not talking about religion. Like literally, they think of each other as different races or different. They differentiate. That's my point. So it's like you growing up in a community and you are around, let's say South Asians and then Middle Easterns, right, or Arabs, right. Now, when I say South Asian, it could be Bangladeshi, but then because Bangladesh isn't South Asia, Indians and Pakistanis would probably play a factor in that group. Do you understand what I'm saying? If for example, if you're just cute enough, literally, if you're just cute, you would have other races be like, other nations would step in and be like, no, this is Southeast Indian, this is the whole community. We're in the community too, even though it may be primarily Bangladesh, for example. Now, on the other side, you have Middle East, so same thing. You got the Arabs that say, well, no, it's, we have we have a good relationship with them. This person, we go way back, blah, 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 right? But then the Turks and the other Middle Easterners will say, like the Persians will say, hey, you know what? You guys are part of the Middle East and we're part of that region too, so we should be involved. You see what I'm saying? Now, it can be based on location or whatever. But now, at some point, because politics are always going on, if there's a fallout, for example, if there's some kind of, you can't change reality. You know what I mean? People do try hard to change reality, but you can't change reality. Let's say for whatever reason they fall out eventually and they have no involvement within this person, or within, let's say, my life. They don't have any involvement within my life anymore. what may happen is that you may have not necessarily another race coming in. It may be, for example, let's say the people that are like, and I don't mean native Indian, I mean like natives as in like they've been living there for generations, let's say, like living around you for generations. Now they're gonna claim you because they're the next ones in line, right? They're the closest ones to you. They're gonna say, well, you know, we've been here for a lot of generations. We're involved in this life, right? Right? And then you'll have an outside element. I'm not saying the outside element may be people who are like totally new to the place. And when I say totally new, I even mean like 20 years, 30 years. You know what I mean? 20 years or 30 years is a very kind of newish time to be in a place, you know? So you got these two communities, right? And they will be the final frontier. You know, no race can overclaim you over that community that's been there for so many generations. Plus this established community, which is still new. Like if these guys have been here 200 years and these guys have been 30 years, it's you see what I'm saying? That's how it works. It's not one particular race. It'll be the community, right? Chances are, if you knew how to deal with that problem in the first place, you'll probably be able to take care of the next issue. You take care of the next issue. Now there's no community. Now the communities are within your life, but they're around your life. Now, before this even takes place, before you start, you have to get charge of your life. You know, there's ways to do everything in this world, but let's say you claim your life. Claiming your life to me is one of the most important things. When you start from level zero, you're close to like a slave, basically. You may not be a slave, but you're close to a slave, right? And you know, you don't have charge of your life. There's always people in your life taking charge or whatever. Then you learn, you really take the reins. You take charge of your life. That's when you start dealing with the different communities. And then when you deal with the communities, the idea is not to destroy them or eliminate them. The idea is to put everything into perspective so that your true value shows, right? You shouldn't have a billionaire living in a shitty fucking apartment on $2,000 a month. You understand what I'm saying? Or 3,000, whatever his shitty pay is. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that. You see what I mean? You can't have somebody that's too fucking good for something to have that thing in their life. Eventually, they'll break out. No matter how much you elude them, mislead them, snake them, or whatever you do, they will eventually come out of it. They will eventually beat it and grow out of it. And that's an eventuality that everybody would most likely expect. I want to conclude this, and I'm trying to look for the best way to conclude this. So you've gotten rid of those particular racial or religious communities or whatnot, and you've gotten rid of them, right? Now religion may still play a part in your life, right? Because it's a bit of a like an important thing. You may change religions, or the religious community around you might change, which is not that bad. You know, sometimes when people change faiths, they actually find more success. That sounds bad to say that. Why would you leave your religion for success? There's a lot of people that do this in this world. They will, in fact, convert to a religion if they see an opportunity. It's true. It can be an entire family will do that too, by the way, or an individual. All right, so we got that established. Now, the thing is, if I take charge of my life, who am I gonna put around me? You know what I mean? It all comes to your worth, you know, and what you're worth, what you're capable of, who you are. That's a big thing, right? And you know what? There's a lot of people out there that try to bullshit you. You know, it's almost like we live in a custom where like 80% of people, they meet you for the first time, they want to bullshit you. So anytime you meet somebody new or someone who's a stranger, just remember that they may try to bullshit you. 100%. They will usually try to bullshit you. Now, doesn't mean they're always bullshitting you. Just be careful, right? But if you can find that they're bullshitting you, then that's grounds to say, okay, well, you don't say anything to them, but to know in yourself that they're bullshitting you. You know what I mean? You have to know that they're bullshitting you. Now, when it comes to like a war, like Russia versus Ukraine or whatever, you see, in my opinion, for me, my independence, my me getting a me getting independence from my community or from whatever, even within my own life, is a very important thing. If you know, if I let's say I live like in one of the countries around Ukraine, right? Um, if I was in charge of my life and if I had taken reins and if I had done all that, I get to make a choice whether I want to choose a side or not. When you choose a side and you're smaller than a nation, like you're an individual company, for example, and you choose a side, you have to remember that your interest will always come second. Okay, you let's say you side with the Americans or the Russians, right? They are gonna incorporate your stuff, your life into their interests, and your interests are gonna be down here. Now, they might even be up here, but the main nation's interests are up here. Okay, so even if let's say you don't like America, and Russia has been good to you, right? If they have a war, Russia's not necessarily looking for your interest. They're looking for their interest against America, and they want to destroy America. And if you are not in charge of your life, you will become a piece on the chessboard. Now, hey, I'm not. Maybe you're fucking amazing, and you can't fall under a pawn. Maybe you are a rook. Okay, you are a rook, which is very powerful, by the way, right? You are a rook, or no, let's say, yeah, you're a rook. Okay, you're very powerful, right? You're like rook. The rook was kind of like a powerful, named after like a powerful political figure with a lot of power, and people trust his word and his speech and everything. So you're a rook, right? Now, they're not looking. They're trying to use you to get back at somebody that they don't like. Just remember that when you choose a nation side over another, that's basically what they're trying to do. Now, it's another thing if, anyway, I don't want to get into that, but basically, they are just trying to use you as pieces. If I was in a country around Ukraine, I was in that position, and I had my own, like I had taken reins of my life and my community and things around me, and there's a lot of work. Like there's changes, everything. They're destroying, starting new, this method, that. There's a lot that goes into it. But let's say I do that. I would prefer to stay out of the war, definitely. But I do have my own personal. Let's say I have my own personal business and company set up. I can decide who I want to fuck with, when I want to fuck with, and what the terms and negotiations of that fucking will be. I get to decide that. That's the deal. Understand what I'm saying? So just remember when you go, oh man, that's it. This side is gonna, Russia is gonna fucking help me against these American assholes. You gotta remember that Russia is trying to take care of their shit, and you may benefit. It's not like they're against it. Like they do want you to benefit too, but you're not all up there. See, you have to be really, really above the horde. You really have to have your life strong. Everything set up. Like you gotta be on a very high level. And I'll explain what that means. You have to be much higher than the average person, even the average strong person. You see how because we all have all these different people. In order to become higher, you have to be higher than somebody. Okay, so if everybody's making $1 billion now, if they say everyone's a billionaire, it'll always fall into place. Everyone will tell you this about business and society. It will always fall into place. It will always fall into place. The people who were billionaires, you know what? They're going to become 100 trillionaires. That's how it works. So if you are at that level, let's say I'm at that level, and I'm around Ukraine, and I'm at that, no, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? Very simply, I'm not going to choose sides between the war, but depending on who's the better person to deal with in business, with my business and my company, I will do that according to that, and I will negotiate. And it doesn't mean that I'll totally X out the country. I may work with organizations within that country too. But I have to be smart. If I become that big, I gotta look after my business. I have to look after my business and everything that's around me. And all the people that I work with and my partners.